Right to it. Our first caller is from Voi, Fred Nyambeched. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I'm Fred Nyambeche.
Nyambeche. Sorry, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, yes, sir.
Very fine, thank you. I'd like to hear your response briefly.
Thank you so much, Jesse. First, my heart goes out there to all those of our people that have died as a result of COVID-19, including the medical staff. Let their souls rest in peace. And I think it is something that invites our leaders maybe to prepare to improve infrastructure for all of us, because it's not only the health workers that are exposed, it's all of us. And really no life is lesser, no life is better. And I think we all need to be given proper medical care. Having said that, I want to declare that I'm a teacher. We are at the moment equally frontline workers. We are handling students, and you know what it means. They have come from all backgrounds, and if there are people that are really exposed now, it is the teachers. But what I want to call upon all of us, all professionals, service comes first. Blackmail should not be now. Let us not have a situation whereby we are kind of blackmailing. Your panel has done well on this one. Now, coming to the BBI, from the arguments of the more reason as why, Jesse, we actually need a referendum. You can see how the argument is going. Those that are against the BBI, really there is no substance in it. It is a matter of that they do not want it. One day they are telling us that the BBI is a fraud, is conmanship, and so on. The next moment they are saying, these are the things we want amended. They are flip-flopping from one thing to the other, which means that indeed there is something more than meets the eye. So at the end of the day, the people should have the say. And the final say will come from Kenyans, and this can only be done through a referendum. I want to ask our president and the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, let them bring this thing. We pass it very early in the morning. Whoever will have something else which can help this country, we can have it tomorrow. Let them bring those ideas tomorrow. But this idea of dilly-dallying, I don't think whether it's good.
Okay.
When Robert talks of two people, and indeed the two people is talking of the President of the Republic of Kenya and Raila Amolo Odinga, I think it behoves us to have respect for our leaders. But when you look at them just like any other person, I think the Duke of Mosocho has argued well, and I think it's good that the panelists that we really look up to them. We listen. This is a big thing. This is an international forum. KTN is not a small thing.
All right.
So whatever they give the public, we look at them, the CVs that you've given us about them. They are people who are experts in various areas. They need to give us something that is well researched. Their thoughts. And
okay.
I want to advise, maybe there are some that as we watch, as you follow your program, some who are constantly referring to their phones, it gives the impression that whatever they are giving us is not their thought. It's something that is being informed by some other forces out there who would like to guide them what they need to say.
Okay, Nyambeche.
Otherwise, thank you so much, Jesse. We are really proud of your program.
Okay.
And we want to believe that it's really informing the public.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
We appreciate Nyambeche. Thank you for your input right there. Let's just cross over to Kisumu right now. Gian Wahome is on the line. It's been a while, Gian. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, sir. I'm very fine. It's been a while, but I'm okay. I hope you're keeping safe.
Hello, What's your take on the three talking points we've had? Briefly.
I'll go to convey my heartfelt condolences to our forefront soldiers, who are the doctors and nurses and all health workers whom we have lost lives. I think as a nation we would have done better And I really wish to convey my heartfelt condolences to the family. I wish they find strength in this difficult moment. On the same line, I wish to say that it's so sad, Jesse, that as a country borrowed so heavily, especially on this issue of the COVID-19, that at this very particular moment, we are a country that cannot even afford to treat our doctors and give them the required gears and the safety gears. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Wahome, I can hear you, sir. Kindly continue.
Yeah, you can get me.
Yes,
now,
I can.
What I'm saying, Ben, it's so sad that doctors in this country, because doctors and nurses and all health workers did not start complaining simply because COVID came. These are issues that we have been having in this country. The doctors started complaining long time ago about their terms and conditions of working. So it has not started today, Jesse.
Okay.
I wish this administration really does better on this.
Okay.
Let me go directly to BBI.
Shortly, sir.
Shortly, Ben. You have to remember that from the onset, Deputy President Ruto's troops had decided to oppose this document. However, how this document, William Ruto and his troops have decided they will oppose this document to the end. It's unfortunate that a whole conversation that entails the country, a whole conversation that a task force was elected to collect views around the country, that somebody today stood at Bomas and decided to lecture the whole country about the document, when on his side he told his troops to go around the country and even stop the task force from moving one place to another.
All right.
So this is just delay tactics that the Tanga side are playing.
Okay, many thanks. Let's just leave it right there, Gian Wahome, so we can get more time for our callers as well. From Nairobi, Caleb Otieno is calling. Good afternoon to you, sir. What is your take?
Good afternoon, Mr. Jesse.
A very good afternoon to you. What do you make of what we've talked about?
Okay, thank you for having me on the line.
Okay.
Now, I want to make some 2 points. Number one,
yes,
is about this pandemic, the COVID-19.
Yes, we can hear you. Continue, sir.
Now, my take is the government lost the war on the onset for having not involved the community health workers, that is the grassroots health workers, to sensitize the masses on this pandemic. And if they did this, we could have gone very far in at least eradicating this nearly, because the community health workers are the people who are with the masses all the time. Now, we, the masses, also are a problem to ourselves, because you find the masses have taken this to be a government. Now, the second point.
Yes, briefly, sir.
I want to make a point on this BBI.
Okay.
My question to Kipchumba. Between Jubilee Primaries, which is on record as supporting in this our public show, and the referendum for the generation. Now, which one is more octane than the other? Because the other one is a political, this one is a constitutional. Now, we are ready to welcome prodigal son back, but let him take a cue.
Okay.
That is my take.
Okay. Many thanks. And I'm sure Kipchumba Karuri has heard. Many thanks, Caleb Otieno from Nairobi. Rose Njoroge is calling us from Nakuru. Rose, good afternoon to you.
Fine.
Kindly give us what you think about the various topics we've transversed today.
Thank you for having me on the line.
Thank you.
Yeah. Number one, I want to contribute about our doctors and their state. It just shows us the condition of us as Kenyans, the condition of our politics, because once we go to the polling stations, we go to vote for people who are not accountable. And so these are the fruits. That is why we have no insurance for our doctors. There is nobody talking about their welfare. Right now, they are dying by the day, yet they are our soldiers on the front line. And I was just wondering, how can the government abandon their sick? You see, even as a family, when you have a sick person, you pull in resources, you go for Harambes to take care of the sick. The government should actually be at the forefront to see that our doctors are taken care of very well, so that they can also take care of us. I am for the doctors getting their insurance cover.
Okay.
And we also want to know where the money went from the donor, the COVID-19 funds, where they went. The government should be accountable for that. Mutai Kagwe should be giving us periodicals also on this, as he talks about the people who are sick and those who have been tested and those who are dead. We can also have those we can have the periodicals for the amount of money that have been used, how many masks have gone to every county, PPEs, and every other thing like that.
Okay, Rose, I get your point on accountability. Give us shortly on BBI. Now, yes.
Yes. I want to say this, that if BBI is a honest conversation, then we should begin with honesty. And the honesty is this, Mr. Jesse.
Yes.
That our elections are always having issues. And I want to side with what Honorable Raila had said before, that we need an electoral changeover. If they would have begun that point, I think many Kenyans would have seen the light of the day and the honesty in that conversation. Because it is not about the issue of position, it is about the elections being free, fair, and transparent. That is the whole thing. The other issues can be covered later.
Okay.
But if we had a government that really is honest with itself, we would have begun with the Electoral Commission. Where do we go wrong from there? Because that is why there was contention. And that is why there was a handshake. Because one of the parties first, the election, had been stolen from him.
All right.
So why are we not in that position that we contested about?
Okay.
That the elections were not free, fair and transparent.
Okay,
when we
Rose.
begin from there, now the BBI comes in to rectify.
Okay.
But we are not being honest.
Okay,
now,
honesty.
On our African leaders, Mr. Jesse, many of us are crying. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Kindly, 10 seconds if you can.
Yeah, our African leaders must also come to the point of where that they rule for the specified time in the Constitution and they just leave and go home.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, many thanks. Okay, I appreciate your input, Rose Njoroge, who is calling from Nakuru. Well, we've had what our viewers have to say, and that without further ado, let's just cross over back to our panelists. I'll start with you, Dismas Mokua. Even as you perhaps rebound on what the panel or what the callers have mentioned, rather, I'd like to forward this question because it seems not to be addressed. Does insurance cover COVID-19? As we conclude, as brief as you can.
You know, that has been a major source of concern, and there are conversations that insurance companies in Kenya are covering COVID, but people who have been sick, when they've gone to the hospitals, they've not received any attention. They've been told to go look for their private resources or go and sell their cows and goats. And I think it's important for Mutai Kagwe and also the private insurance companies to come and make it black and white, whether or not the insurance covers COVID. And then number two, Kenya is a member of the UN Security Council. The nation fought vigorously to take up that position. So we cannot afford to be quiet while there are political challenges in Uganda and while there are ethnic challenges in Ethiopia. If we remain quiet, then next time we want an international role, nobody will take Kenya seriously. And finally, President Kenyatta needs to come up with that socioeconomic program to bail out people who are bleeding because of COVID. That one is very urgent because people are committing suicide, people are facing foreclosure, and if you don't have an economic revival strategy, Kenya is going south.
Okay. Many thanks for your thoughts right there. Hezbollah Wheeler, your final thoughts.
I think, Jesse, you kicked me out of the conversation around Uganda and Ethiopia, and I will leave it at that. Let me focus on COVID-19 and say that there are men and women outside there in this country who've put their lives as the last line of defense so that other Kenyans can live and survive the COVID-19 pandemic. And there are a number of challenges that these men and women have been subjected to. We have cases of doctors who've gone for months without pay, courtesy of what the county governments are doing. We have doctors who have stagnated without promotion for years, and they see county governments fast-track promotion of people who are newly employed. And those are issues that need to be addressed as fast as they can be addressed. And then, of course, we've had instances where doctors have raised a number of issues about the equipment that they have at their disposal and the quality of those equipments. I am glad that the government is taking heed, and there have been conversations in the last week. And what we need to ask ourselves is, to what extent are these conversations going to be effected, and doctors and health workers provided with the necessary working environment that they need? Critical among this is a comprehensive cover, which was approved in September. And you need to see that, not just a comprehensive cover for these doctors and medical health workers, but a compensation package, because at the end of the day, COVID is going to kill Kenyans. Okay. And if it is going to kill people who are providing the last line of defense, they have to be compensated. Then lastly, instead of having our parliamentarians and our senators making a lot of noise on Twitter, we need to have these representatives who are supposed to oversight both the national and the county government speak to these issues. Take the county governments accountable. If Treasury is going to disburse money for compensation, I think we need to have them, ensure that all these things are done and doctors are provided with the necessary working condition. Thank you.
Many thanks, Hezbollah Wheeler, and apologies for that small miscalculation when we were talking about the earlier topic. Let's cross over to Mark Bichachi right now. Your final thought as we conclude.
The closure of the democratic space around us is testament to where Kenya is as a country. Kenya remains the only democratic free space in our region, and that speaks volumes. It speaks to the fact that we must take what we have as a country seriously. We must look at the BBI as an opportunity and not an opportunity for political competition and myopia. But finally, let me remind my fellow Kenyans that BBI is totally irrelevant if you want to ignore the baby pendles of this world. If you want to ignore that every election since 1992 has been riddled with violence. If you want to ignore the fact that if you look at the graph of GDP growth over our country for the last 40 years, you will tell that every 5 years we lose billions of shillings. If you want to ignore all those facts, then surely let us throw away the BBI. But if you're a realist and you believe that a stitch in time saves 9, then it's time for us to have a conversation. A conversation about our judicial system, our conversation about our elective system, a conversation about our economics. If we make that admission and ignore our tangatanganess and our kielewekeness, perhaps this country can make even further progress and be a beacon of peace and democracy as it has been and will continue to be.
Well said. Gloria Roba, your final thought.
My final thought today is that I want to address this dangerous spirit of intolerance. Intolerance towards the poor, intolerance towards those who might not appear that they have a voice, intolerance towards any Kenyan who belongs to this country, who is a citizen of this country, who feels the need to speak out their views. For me, I think if we have an understanding that Kenya belongs to everybody. It belongs to Gloria, it belongs to Mark Bichache, Dismas Mokua, Kipchumba, and all the other people living in these 47 counties of this country, then we must be honest with ourselves and say, if a majority of that population is coming to the table to say, we have a problem with this initiative that is supposed to unite us, then I think if we are honest with ourselves, and if truly the spirit of the Building Bridges initiative is to bring all these people together, or at least get to a consensus where we can live and be able to drive the development of this country, then we must stop, which is what our president has done. We must stop and hear all these people. And that's why the BBI reggae has been halted, so that we can now start listening to one another. Yeah.
Okay. Many thanks, Gloria Roba. Kipchumba Karuri, you take the final slot. Your final thought.
Thank you, Jesse. No amount of railroading, gaslighting Kenyans can allow us to buy into this constitutional vandalism, Jesse. We need to have a robust discussion, and we will say it time and again. When I queued twice to vote for Uhuru Kenyatta, I queued to vote for him as the President of the Republic of Kenya, not as the man who will carry my mind and think about the constitutional changes. And when you look at Article 1 and Article 255, we do not give out that power to change the constitution is not delegated to anybody. We remain to have it, and we have that say until when we vote in a referenda or even when we participate in the public participation. Therefore, Jesse, it behooves each Kenyan to know that as we talk about creating a democracy, we must create a democracy that is sustainable, a democracy that does not take into consideration this wishful thinking of a win-win. There can never be a win-win in a democracy. There will be losers, and those who will win will win. We cannot accommodate both, and if we must create that kind of a system. Let us begin from the point where we have an MCA.
Right.
And yes, as I conclude.
Fine, okay.
Can you respond?
In the corner, let Esbon keep quiet. There's nothing he's telling me. IMF is around the corner. It is giving sanctions. We cannot pay the 75 billion, which was a loan, but we are still here discussing about those people who want to bring a constitution without constitutionalism. Right. I think we need to go back to priority.
Okay.
Talk about COVID-19. Talk about how we are sorting the economy. And then again, ask the final question. How are we going to resume school when we are not asking what is the preparedness level we have?
All right. Many thanks, Kipchumba Karuri. Hesbon, I know right of reply is definitely a right, but this time around, I'll have to forward you to the online platform. Kindly use the hashtag Inside Politics, and I'm sure Kipchumba Karuri will definitely get that. We've come to the end of today's edition of Inside Politics. Many thanks for watching. Kipchumba Karuri, an advocate, Dismas Mukua, political risk analyst, Hesbon Owila, political communications expert, Mark Bichachi, communication strategist, and Gloria Oroba, youth policy analyst. Many thanks, gentlemen and lady, for your contribution right here on Inside Politics. I'm Jesse Rogers. Have yourself a good afternoon.